My name is Nick, and welcome to my channel, where I like to talk about scary stuff. But today we're going to be doing something a little bit different again. Thank you guys so much for your support on the last What I Watched video. I decided we should make this a regular thing. Even though it is almost May, I am now going to talk about all of the stuff that I watched in the month of March, and oddly enough, I watched a lot of TV shows, so it's going to be different. Sorry, I definitely wanted to get this out a lot sooner, but again, I'm working on it. Thank you again for your continued patience and understanding as I get this channel back up and running. But we're doing it today here with this video. So you guys let me know what your favorites are for anything that I've been going over, and let me know what you've been watching lately. Alright, we're going to get started over on Letterboxd, on my Letterboxd diary. Again, you can follow me on Letterboxd, watch this now, keep up in real time if you're interested. We're going to start with the 1st of March. The first movie I watched was Sisters with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. This is one of my favorite comedies ever. I don't think this movie gets enough love. I can understand maybe people just aren't as into it as I am. I love Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. Their chemistry, their line delivery, is comedy to me. So this is definitely, a top 5 comedy. I actually bought it after watching it. I love Sisters. Watch it if you haven't. It's worth a watch. Then I watched a movie that is not worth a watch, Dracula 3 Legacy. Why? There were these Dracula 2000 movies. There's a trilogy there, and I wanted to watch Dracula 2000, and I figured, well, now I have to watch them all, right? So I made the mistake of doing that, and not worth it. Don't make the same mistake I did. The second one is trash. The third one is even worse. Barely remember it. Skip it. So then I watched Alien Covenant. I've been going through the Alien movies. I think I watched them in February, and so I was finishing that up. And honestly, I have fun with Alien Covenant. I think it's flawed. I think it has problems, but I like that it's kind of like a space slasher with an alien. I mean, it's kind of like the good version of Jason X. Not even. Cut that, Nick. That's terrible. That's terrible. All right, next I watched Traces of Red. So I've also been watching a lot of, I'm in this mood right now. I've been in this mood last few months. I've been watching creature features, erotic thrillers, and old school slashers. These are all of my favorite subgenres, and Traces of Red, a movie I hadn't seen, but it has Jim Belushi as a detective, and I think Florida. It was very trashy. It had to be Florida. And there's shenanigans, erotic thriller shenanigans. It's not good. Then I watched The Harbinger. This movie was a huge surprise to me. I actually had been planning on renting it to go through movies that were released in 2022. This was on my list. Happened to pop up on Tubi, so go watch it. It's on Tubi. You can watch it for free. It's a lot better. I only gave it a 3 out of 5, but it's a lot more original and interesting than I was expecting. It is set during the pandemic, and it's about a woman who travels during the pandemic to visit a friend, even though she's being very cautious about the safety measures and whatnot. But there is a supernatural entity also tied in with the sickness, and it's very interesting. I don't know. It could not be for some people. Why did I click on that? How long was I on that page? I don't know. My bad. But anyway, moving on from The Harbinger, I watched RoboCop. An easy 5 out of 5 for me. RoboCop is just one of the greats. It really is. It's not just a fun action movie and a classic 80s film, but it does have some serious commentary that still holds up. So, I mean, if you haven't seen RoboCop, watch it. Watch it. Then I watched Terminator Dark Fate. Again, I'm going through different franchises here. I'd watched the Terminator movies, I think, in December, but I still had to finish them up. Watch Terminator Dark Fate. I don't know why people give this movie shit. Alright, I don't think it's perfect. Another one where, just like Alien Covenant, I think it has its flaws, but for a modern movie of the franchise it's within, it's enjoyable. It's entertaining. I like it. Mackenzie Davis, badass. Linda Hamilton, she's back. I mean, come on, it's great. Then I watched Body of Evidence, again with the erotic thrillers. This is the Madonna Willem Dafoe one that maybe you've never heard of, but oh my god, it is so... I mean, it's kind of boring because it's a little bit of a courtroom thriller, but then there's candle wax and sexy stuff, so I mean, it gets there. It gets there. Then I watched Scream 6. I went and saw it. I had such a good time seeing it with some friends. We went out for dinner beforehand and saw it, and I have so many thoughts on Scream 6, but overall, it's good. It's enjoyable. It's very entertaining. It makes a lot of stupid logistical mistakes that I have a huge problem with. Oh, it's they doubled down in some ways on my problems with 5 while also fixing some of the problems of 5. It's a bit of a bummer because it's like it's so close to being great, but they just have to keep throwing this stupid shit in there. I don't know. I guess I'll review Scream 6 one day. I went and saw it again a couple days later. I had to get that other rewatch in, so I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's up there. It's right in the mold of fun slasher film for me. So I'm happy with Scream 6. Then I watched Dark Ride, again on my slasher kick. If you haven't seen Dark Ride, this is a very cheesy, low-budget indie slasher from the mid-2000s. It was part of the After Dark Horror Fest. If you know, you know. But anyway, it takes place within a dark ride or an amusement attraction, and then people get slashed up. It's fun. Then I watched RoboCop 2 because I felt the need as I'm going through different franchises. I was like, well, time to finally watch RoboCop 2. I gotta say, it wasn't awful. It wasn't like the worst thing ever. I was expecting it to be pretty bad, but it just was so definitely trying to be the first one without accomplishing being the first one, and it was just a mixed bag for me. 2.5 out of 5. Then I rewatched Shazam, planning on going to see the new Shazam, because I think Shazam is actually quite good. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a fun family superhero movie. And then I just never got around to seeing Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I think I skipped it like most people. Then I watched Red Clover, because this was St. Patrick's Day, needed to watch a St. Patrick's Day movie. I'd actually been meaning to watch this one for a couple of years now and hadn't gotten around to it, and was like, you know what, it's on Tubi, give it a watch. I don't remember much, but I don't remember many good things. I don't remember it being awful. There was a cool parade sequence. It seemed like one of those movies where if it had a bigger budget, it wouldn't have been so shitty, but that's kind of every Sci-Fi Channel movie. Next, I watched Let the Wrong One In, a movie I didn't grade, but I'll say I'd probably give it somewhere between a 2.5 out of 5 and a 3 out of 5. It was okay. It was fine. It was kind of cute. It was like this Irish, I believe, vampire comedy, and I thought it was kind of original for being very low budget and indie, and I think it kind of tried to have this sort of goofball nature to it, and I don't really remember the plot a whole lot, so make of that what you will. Then I watched Cocaine Bear. I went and saw Cocaine Bear again, and I fell asleep during it, yet I gave it a 3 out of 5 again. I'll just say now, since it's been a minute, I have rewatched Cocaine Bear one more time. My grade has changed. Not as much of a fan. I then started rewatching the John Wick movies. I think I can pretty much just say they all get the same grade, 3.5 out of 5. They're all very enjoyable. These are all pretty top-notch action films. I'm not the biggest fan of action the older I get. I just get bored with it, frankly. But these movies do a good job of keeping me interested for, the most part. Didn't get around to seeing John Wick Chapter 4 yet. I still need to see that. Whoops. I then watched Nobody, because I was on this John Wick kick, and Nobody isn't as good, but Bob Odenkirk is good. It was a decent enough movie. Again, a nice little small movie. It was fine. It was fine. Collateral. Then I wanted to rewatch this. I remember for some reason watching this several times as a preteen. I don't know why. It's definitely good. It's interesting. Has a solid chase scene at the end, which I'm really into. But overall, it's just okay. A little overstuffed, a little overlong. Could have trimmed it up. 3 out of 5. Then I watched Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. A 3 out of 5 that I love. This movie is so ridiculous it maybe doesn't deserve a decent grading, but I think it's so damn good, it of course deserves it. It's so good. It's actually, even as far as being a silly fun movie to watch while you're drunk or something, it's still, could use a little bit more. It's not fully there, but I think it's good enough, I say. Good enough. Then I watched Dante's Peak, one of my all-time favorite disaster movies, one of the best disaster movies ever. That's also one of my favorite subgenres, along with erotic thrillers and slashers. These movies all have the same formula, so it's very simple to entertain me, clearly. But Dante's Peak is just I just love it. I didn't watch it enough as a kid, so it's still in my brain as one of those favorites where I didn't wear it out, I love Dante's Peak. I'll always watch it. I don't care. Say what you will. Then I rewatched Sonic the Hedgehog. I was kind of getting excited for the Super Mario Brothers movies and the one movie that came out. We don't have multiple movies yet, but I definitely wanted to rewatch Sonic the Hedgehog and then watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which I think I got around to eventually. But Sonic, decent. It's fine. It's a fine little movie. Then I watched Jawbreaker. Oh, one of my favorites. I reviewed Jawbreaker. You can watch that if you're interested. Then another erotic thriller, Never Talk to Strangers. This is a very typical Rebecca De Mornay movie because she plays an absolute crazy person, which is, you know, on track for her. Then I finished the month out. Oh, I think we got a couple more. But I watched Happy Birthday to Me. This is one of the best 80s slashers ever. I love Happy Birthday to Me. It was on Tubi. I included this in my video on the best birthday horror films. You should definitely watch that. I love that video. Still pretty proud of it. So if you haven't seen Happy Birthday to Me, if you see it pop up somewhere, give it a watch. It's a little long and slow, and it has plot twists that don't make sense, and plot holes that also don't make sense, but it all comes together enough for me. I like it. I like it. That table with all of the victims around with the birthday I mean, you know, it's a perfect little birthday horror movie. Then I watched, Suburbia. This is a Richard Linklater film, I believe. Did we, wow, I haven't clicked on, like, any of these. Wow, I should have done that as I was going through. Whoops. Give you guys a little more visual pizzazz. Suburbia! Yeah, this was, I think, his follow-up to Dazed and Confused, and certainly not as good. I think it was trying to have that Dazed and Confused hangout quality, but in the 90s with people just hanging out, and it does not work for me. I didn't finish it, so I didn't grade it. I just didn't care for it. I'm just gonna say that. I just didn't care for it. Then I watched Asking for It, another movie I didn't care for, a movie I wish I cared for, but it wasn't good. It's about these women who form this, like, local gang that go after shitty men and abusers and whatnot, and I mean, as you can see, I'm not the only one. I mean, it's certainly the type of movie the internet would hate, but, like, it genuinely just was not well executed. I just didn't really care about the characters very much. I didn't really care about the journey. It should have been very easy material to get on board with. They even, I remember at one point, mentioned Switchblade Sisters, like it's on like a marquee at a drive-in at one point, and I'm like, come on, you guys, like, you know the assignment, and you're just not hitting the mark. So wasn't the biggest fan of Asking for It. And then I finished the month out with Run, Sweetheart, Run. A bit of a surprise, in my opinion, because this movie premiered on Amazon Prime, and I believe it played at some film festivals. This is saying it's a 2020 movie, even though it didn't come out until 2022. Has mostly mixed grades here, but I was genuinely surprised. Again, it's not a perfect movie, but it's a very interesting and mostly original film. Plus, I am a big fan of chase scenes. I bring that up quite a bit, and this whole movie is mostly one big chase scene, so loved that. It's about this woman who goes on a business meeting dinner date and ends up chased by a monster throughout LA at night. It was not as wild as I would like it to be, but again, it had enough energy for me to give it a 3 out of 5. Those were all of the movies that I watched in March, and I'm glad I was able to blow through those because I have so many TV shows to go over. I watched so much TV in March. I don't know what was happening. I was on a TV kick. But first off, I finished Poker Face, the first season of Poker Face. Still a strong recommend for me. I loved Poker Face. I do still overall have problems with the structure of the show and hope they kind of switch it up in the second season, but basically I'm still really excited for a second season. As for Wolfpack, the other TV show I was watching in February, no. Wolfpack, I was trying to stick with it for Sarah Michelle Gellar. I was trying, but oh my god, did it just get worse as it went. It went from watchable to unwatchable just actually quite quickly, but I was still just clinging on, and the end of this season was pure garbage. I mean, such garbage. I really hope this is canceled. I just want them to let it die so Sarah Michelle Gellar can move on to a better role. Clearly, we want her in things. We want to see her again, but not in this show. So, not that anyone is watching anything on Paramount Plus, but just skip it. No good. Then I moved on to The Last of Us. Of course, everyone was watching The Last of Us. We'd all been looking forward to it for a while, and it was very hyped up. Here's what I want to say about The Last of Us. I definitely feel like it scratched the itch that I wanted it to scratch. However, I don't think it was as amazing as most people are saying. I thought it was good. I think it was mostly fine. I think it's honestly kind of like a 3 out of 5 show for me, really. Like, I did love the gay episode. I think it was episode 3, the one with Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett. That was it was so good. It was honestly so good. I cried. I totally did. I also liked the other one with Bella Ramsey and Storm Reed, with some good gay content over there in The Last of Us. I do want to point that out. I really appreciated that, because it was well done, too. Those were good episodes. I, genuinely enjoyed them, especially the 3rd episode. But, and the zombie action, while few and far between, it was well done when it was done. Still, I just feel like there was so much material in that game in terms of the action, where I felt like this show did a better job with the human elements than The Walking Dead, but didn't meet... I mean, I don't really watch a whole lot of Walking Dead, and I didn't think the action was that great on that show, but it felt more like Fast and the Furious-y to me at times. I remember at one point, someone just, pulls out a rocket launcher at some point. I don't know. If you're a Walking Dead fan, you can tell me. There's, a million seasons. I couldn't tell you. But I just didn't care for The Walking Dead, and I hate to compare The Last of Us to it, but how can you not? And The Last of Us could have been better, in my opinion. I did like the episodic nature, the way we kind of went off and followed people and got into people's stories here and there, but I feel like we could have taken more detours. I feel like there was more that could have been done, more exploring in this world, and I feel like they're really kind of cutting through the little material that they have, because there are only 2 games, and they blew through game 1 already, so it's like, I know it's going to be a minute before we get season 2, and there could be Last of Us season 3, and who knows, but I don't know. I mean, they're probably going to try and have spin-off shows to fill out the world, but I just wish the actual core show was doing that, you know? While I was on HBO Max, soon to be known as the streaming service formerly known as HBO Max, I watched season 2 of Hacks. This came out a year ago, and I finally got around to watching it, and I honestly think season 2 might be even better than season 1. I love Hacks. This is a great half-hour comedy series. We do not have enough good comedies these days, and I think I just needed that at the time. I really just needed some comedy in March, and Hacks did it for me. I really love Hacks. I cannot wait for season 3. Then I watched, because I needed more comedy, I started watching Party Down, because I had tried to watch it before years ago and just didn't get into it, but with season 3 coming on Stars, I figured, you know what, let me give it a shot. This seems like the show that I'm looking for. And you do have to get a couple episodes in. I think, as you do with any comedy, you got to get your characters down and the scenario they're within, and then just kind of let them go, you know? And once you do, Party Down is hilarious. I watched the first 2 seasons. They're pretty old, and because of that, you know, not everything holds up and works, but it isn't extremely problematic, I wouldn't say. But just, you know, for someone who grew up with all of the late 2000s, Hangover movies, stuff like that, there were certainly things that I saw them lean into, but also kind of subverted where they could have been a lot worse. So if you are looking to go back and check out Party Down, I have not watched season 3 yet, so I don't know if it's worth watching to get the, you know, backstory to then kind of catch up with it. And I don't know if they're going to do a season 4, but I hope they do. Then I wanted to finish a show that I had started months ago, maybe in November or something. I don't know, but I will say I am a reluctant American Horror Story fan. I hate to even use the word fan at this point, but I want American Horror Story to be good, and this latest season, New York City, I actually thought started out really good, a really solid, hard-boiled serial killer in the city story. I was really into it, of course, because this season focuses on a killer within the gay community at the same time that the AIDS epidemic is starting, and so I was really into the first couple of episodes, which again I watched forever ago, and thought, okay, I need to get back and finish this. And of course, in typical American Horror Story fashion, the season starts out quite strong, and then it's they completely run out of material and have no idea what they're doing, and then just try to wrap it all up really quickly without giving you satisfying answers. I don't know why that is the MO of this show, and why we keep coming back, especially after that horrible double feature season. I mean, my God. But Oh my god. I'm just so bummed with how good it started out and just how horribly it ended. Literally the last two episodes of this season are unwatchable. They're just so it's just misery porn. It's terrible, and they're not even getting to what it starts out as this serial killer thing, and then they're just like, whatever, now it's just, season 4 of Pose, where just everyone's dying of AIDS, and it's just like, oh my god, like, we did this already, and this isn't that show, and if you're gonna do that, then build up to it properly. It just, it just never comes together. Those American Horror Story people, they need to get it together. Just get some new people in the writer's room, like some actual writers. Then I started watching Ghosts. I needed more comedy, and this is a show I'd heard a lot of good things about. I even wanted to watch the American remake, so I figured, you know what, should go back, watch the British original, as you got to, and this show is so good. Like, it's solidly funny, and of course, as a horror fan, I love just like the comedy surrounding ghosts and everything, and the way they play up on like this haunted house that this couple inherits, and they move in, it's just full of ghosts. If you don't know the premise, that's it. And the woman in the couple, Allison, she ends up having a near-death experience, and then she can see and hear ghosts. So she, of course, sees all of the ghosts in the house, but her husband can't, and they're trying to turn it into like a bed and breakfast or something, and it is just, it's adorable, it's sweet, it's funny, it's kind of dark, it's got everything. It's really everything that I want, and I'm bummed I didn't start watching it sooner. I got through season 2. No, I think I'm just finishing season 2 now, so I probably just finished season 1 in March, but I love Ghosts. I hear season 5 or series 5 is going to be the end of it, and that's probably perfect. That's probably perfect. It's just well done. I don't know. It really all connects. Everything comes together in that show, and I love that. Then I wanted to rewatch season 1 of Yellow Jackets, because if you are unaware, Yellow Jackets is back. And I'm so glad that I rewatched season 1, which I remember binging season 1 like over the course of a couple weeks. Like, I wanted to savor it. Now that I had seen it and was like preparing for the new season, I blew through season 1 of Yellow Jackets in maybe 3 days, like less than 3 actual days, like in hours. Like, I blew through it. If you don't know, Yellow Jackets follows a group of women who survived a plane crash in the Canadian wilderness when they were teenagers as a group of soccer players headed to a tournament. And they survived in the wilderness for about a year and a half, and then were found, and everyone is like, what happened there? And then we pick up 25 years later as stuff begins happening with the group of survivors, and it is so good. It is one of the best shows on television right now. I will say it is a super slow burn. It is a mystery puzzle box style show that has this big thing that like we're all building up to, but we don't really know what's going on. We know they had to resort to cannibalism, this group of friends, but we don't really know what happened or why it happened or what's going on, and we're starting to get some answers in season 2, but honestly we're just getting more questions. So I would say if you're interested in binge watching it, definitely wait until season 2 is done so you can binge it all, because the first few episodes were real slow. I'm already getting to season 2 when that's not even what I watched this month. But anyway, who cares? I just have to talk about Yellow Jackets. It's so good. But I want to say, if you are looking to get into it, as you 100% should, it's very slow, and so slow that I can tell we aren't going to get any of the answers that we want in season 2. We aren't even going to get answers we want until probably the end of season 3. They've already greenlit season 3, so it's happening, but it's probably going to be a minute to get that. So, you could wait to binge watch Yellow Jackets if you're someone who wants those answers right now. Also, just it's a show you have to be very patient with. But I have to say, and also as a horror fan, it kind of sets up some horror elements that it doesn't really deliver on. So I do want to be honest with that. But that being said, I find all of the other filler content in the show so entertaining that I don't really care. I mean, I'm sorry, I have to jump right to season 2. Like, frickin' Christina Ricci and Elijah Wood, I mean, so good. Just so good. I love this show. You have to watch Yellow Jackets. Then I started watching a show that everyone seems to love, and that's Succession. So I've been trying to clear through the HBO shows because I have no idea what's going to happen when this streaming service switches over. God, do you even know about that? It's from HBO Max to just Max. I mean, it's the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing ever. But I knew season 4 of Succession was starting, and I had been wanting to watch this show for a while, so I figured I'd give it a go, and I did get sucked in. I will say I did get sucked in, and I blew through it. I'm completely up to date. I mean, I was in like the beginning of season 3 when episode 3 of season 4 happened, and everyone was like, oh my god, shocking thing happened. And I said, I'm not having this spoiled. And I caught all the way up, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I don't think that was very shocking at all. It's what the entire show has been leading up to. It was like a very duh moment to me. I mean, the way it was done and the way it was handled and written and acted was just phenomenal. One of the best episodes of TV. But as far as what I was watching in March, I really just got up to the beginning of season 3, but I have to say, I blew through pretty good. It's another one where I'm like maybe a 3 out of 5. Like, it's not great. I don't really care about these characters or their world or anything about it. In fact, I hate it. So it's kind of a difficult show. In fact, I really think the buzz that it has with the sort of like Emmys crowd that it does, or the specific section of Twitter that it has, down, is because it's just what it's making fun of and what it's talking about, essentially just like the family behind Fox News. I think people like just laughing at that. I think people do. I think that's what they're into. And I mean, that's fine and everything, but for the most part, these characters aren't that interesting, and it's a real slog in terms of like the actual story, the real succession. Again, like without spoiling it, we're just now getting there in season 4, and it's just wrapping up. So it's like, I just feel like they've, spun their wheels a whole lot, and it's been a lot of back and forth bullshit. And it's fun enough to watch these actors do their thing, but I'm fine with it ending. I'm not in love with it. It's fine. Succession is fine. So yeah, a lot of TV. I got some comments on how many movies I watched in February, and I wasn't even trying to trim it down. I thought I was gonna blow February out of the water with the movies I was watching in March, but I ended up watching many seasons of full seasons of television. Just couldn't stop. But you know what? It was a good month, and I'm actually really glad I watched as much as I did, because again, like getting to Yellow Jackets, squeezing that in, needed that. And I just needed some comfort television. We all need that every now and then. We all need that. What have you guys been watching? Thank you so much for sitting through another one of these long videos. I'll see what I can edit this down to, but I really appreciate it, and I hope you're enjoying more of these like hangout videos as I try and figure out what the fuck to do with my lighting. But thank you so much again. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, I actually haven't logged anything for April just because I knew I had to do this video, so I have to catch up a little bit there. But definitely follow me on Letterboxd, where I will be updating what I'm watching, and Instagram, where I may start posting at some point, who knows. But let me know what you've been watching in the comments. If you have any favorites from here, are you watching Yellow Jackets? Like, let's just talk about Yellow Jackets, okay? That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.